Okay, so I don't have to do I don't know. I'm not doing the cooking. Oh, wait, we still fundraising with the fundraising? Yeah, we're doing fundraising for a life. Then I will.
Wait,
Wonderful. Good morning, friends, and welcome to the Spiritual Side of Virginia. It's so good to be with all of you today. We are going to start today by reading a message psychographed by the Spirit and André Luiz through the medium Chico Xavier. The message is called Spiritual Healing. Start by praying. Prayer is the light in the shadow where diseases settles. So joy. Hope is joy in the heart. Escape from impatience. Every moment of irritation is a magnetic disaster with unpredictable consequences. Keep trusting. Doubt casts rays of death. Don't criticize. Censorship is a shock to bonds of affinity. Be mild. The word aggressive holds work at square one. Don't be scandalized. The body of the sufferer is a sacred object. Help is spontaneously for good. Sympathy is cooperation. Don't cultivate animosity. Aversion is vibratory calamity. Interpret the sick person as if they were yourself. All spiritual healing is rooted in the power of love.
Let us close our eyes, dear friends. And this is a moment that together, in one voice, we will follow the prayer so that we can create this cohesion with this moment. Dear beloved Master Jesus, Spirit mentors of the Spiritual Society of Virginia, we are here once again on this beautiful day to open ourselves to learning more, to receive healing treatment, to bring our children and family to this moment of expansion of the Spirit. We thank you for allowing for each one of us that made here today, allowing this moment of celebration of another day in this reincarnation. We ask you, Divine Master, for your inspiration, for your guidance throughout the session. We also pray for the children and teenagers in their session under your mentorship and under your protection. We ask for your permission to start these moments of study, and so be it. Okay. Carol and Daisy, Miss Carol will take our children teams to their beautiful sessions. We hope you enjoy. It's going to be fun.
I don't have to be careful with anymore. I know what happened. These two little sections have popped out of place. So now it.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Sophia.
Can you tell Miss Daisy, please? Chanting. Oh, we've been studying about obsession, illnesses, and today we come to the blessing of knowing where true healing comes from. Amália Domingo Soler was like Chico Xavier for Spain when she was here in the 20th century. She was a superb medium and a great spiritist. She wrote several books, amongst them a book that we now have a version, a shorter version of it. It's in our bookstore as well, named 15 Cases of Previous Life. One day, many people would write letters to her if they couldn't come to her in person and ask her, why is this happening? And the spirit mentors would deliver the answer. So one day, this grandfather of a 13-year-old girl, he wrote a letter to Amalia saying, Amalia, I love my granddaughter so much, but I'm so frustrated because I want to take care of her, and yet I can't. She's deaf. She's mute. She is physically disabled. She can't walk. She can't speak. She's blind. She needs helpers. So she needs to be in a specific clinic to live. But this pain of being afar from her is destroying me. What do I do? Why is this happening? I know Spirit doesn't have an answer. And the Spirit mentors came and said, he's right. There is a reason. 150 years earlier, this girl who is in this bad shape, she was a man. A man who was quite handsome, quite charming, very charismatic, but an outlaw, a criminal. He used to seduce the young women of the time, breaking their hearts to fulfill his passion. He would, with his own mob, he was the leader of the gang, he would go from city to city, city to city, in order to still make crimes happen. And in between, he would break people's hearts. But one day, he was at a city, and he fell in love with this Catholic girl. And this young woman fell in love with him. But she came from a family that would never allow them to be together. He was a criminal on the loose. She said to him, my parents will never allow us to get married. So he said, come to me. And she did. She left the family to be with him because, like all of us women, we always dream we're going to change our men. No matter if people say no, we say, oh, yes, I will. And she did believe in that she would change him. She would, while he was committing crimes, she was in the church praying praying that she would change him somewhat. What do you think happened? She would come just like many do. Oh, Jesus is so loving. Let us pray. Let us think of Jesus. One day, you count 1, 2, 3. Third month, no passion, right? Usually passion disappears in the third month. And then he looked at her and said, man, she's so annoying. So annoying. Oh man, this woman can't take her anymore. So, of course, he was a criminal. He talked to his gangsters and said, we're going to do what we got to do. When I come back, she can't be here. And the guy's like, but she's so nice. She can't be here. Meaning, she can't be on earth. They hesitated, but they knew the character of the boss. And they said, we better do what he wants. She died in a tragic way. Do you think she was upset? No. She forgave him. In the spiritual realm, she forgave him to the point that she said, when you see how women at the end of the day change their men. Because she said, I will stay with him till the end of times, till he changes his heart to Jesus. Please, God, allow me to do so. After he discarnated in an accident and going through the mess that happens in the afterlife when we don't walk the line, he was given by God's mercy a new reincarnation. And she was granted an opportunity to be close to him. She reincarnates as the grandfather who has the financial resources to help. She cannot help her directly, but indirectly through his resources. And he, the man, reincarnates in the body of a girl. The spirits say, to learn to respect women by being one of them. 2, with a lot of disabilities because he abused his physical body. So that reincarnation is therapy. We look at the girl who's mute, deaf, blind, disabled, and we say, what a disaster. And God is saying, what a blessing. The spiritual body is being rebuilt in the lesions that he created in that life. We're saying this because there is a question that was asked to Dr. Andre Lewis. Why do we get predisposed to illnesses? Nobody wants to be sick. And we think it's a curse. Actually, it's the therapy. In the book Evolution into Worlds, think about this. You and I are spirits vibrating. We're not matter. We don't have this shape as spirits, but we have a spiritual body in the human form. It envelops us, connects to the physical body. Whatever we do, it's going to be imprinted in the spiritual body, the parent spirit. If we create lesions with our misdemeanors and crimes, we have to cleanse it, to repair it, and our spiritual plastic surgery is named illnesses. Because it's rebuilding our spiritual body. Do we want to get sick? No. But if we do, we know it's a blessing in disguise. Nobody dies healthy, by the way. I've never heard of that. Because something needs to stop for death to happen. And that is already a sign that it's gone. Jesus died out of the beating the crime, the murdering blows. He wasn't healthy physically because he was destroyed, but spiritually he was clean. The question is, are we gonna die healthy spiritually? Because the body's going to go back. It can't function for us to die. We have to be used with the fact that one day everything's gonna stop. Big deal. We keep on living. So, where does true healing come from? André Louis says that we need to flush out our disturbances. When we make mistakes, we create diseases. And we are making mistakes every day. So now we're in trouble. So we need solutions. There is a healing pathway. So let's just revisit two simple things. André Louis and André Louis, okay? He's the spirit doctor. He's going to lead the way. Let's go to Nosolar, the spiritual colony. Let's go to the book that he brought to us, Nosolar, where we come to know of the rescuing of himself as this famous scientist doctor in Brazil who thought he was doing so well and finds himself in poor shape in the spiritual realm. Society is praising him for his great deeds, Carlos Chagas. And yet, in the spiritual realm, he is suffering. And then God, in his mercy, helps everyone. He sees the help. He's rescued. There's the movie. It's good to watch and rewatch, to read and reread the book. And then we're going to learn that we're not doomed. There's no hell. There is no purgatory. Everything is in our minds, but there are beautiful places built in our universe. Think about it. When people start saying, the earth is going to end, it's the end of times. I hear this almost every day. People say, it's the end of times. It's the end of times. I heard the other day somebody talking about artificial intelligence as if they are our opponents. For goodness sake. We are the managers. Machine is a machine. We cannot build any brain better than ours because we're not God. There's no machine that will ever top our capacity. Don't be afraid of machines. They are our instruments. We need them to make a better world. Let's not be afraid of progress. Artificial intelligence is coming to foster health. When we discovered cloning, God invented us and we discovered that it exists, that we can do it ourselves in the lab. People were afraid, but it can help us in so many ways to find cure for so many diseases. So we are identifying with André Louis that life is progressing. We're invited to this progress. When he was brought to the spiritual realm, look at this. There are spirit doctors who are constantly willing to help people. They want to help people always. Whether we are in prisons, whether we committed crimes or not, he was there also to be helped. And then André Louis, at some point, is visited by a doctor. And I'm going to get a book inside just to read this passage for you, okay? Let me read this passage.
Oh, yes. It's beautiful.
I have the book in my phone, so you can have your book in the phone, okay? And then chapter 6 is An invaluable warning. Invaluable warning. So what's happening here? Claricio came to see, and they are talking. And they asked Andrea Lewis, how are you feeling? A little better? Listen to the answer. I reacted like any patient who finds himself the center of attention and whose emotional fibers have been touched. In the world, fraternal kindness is sometimes misinterpreted. Giving in to my old habit, I began to explain myself, while my two benefactors sat comfortably at my side. Okay, so let's say this is the picture. I can't deny I'm a little better, but I am suffering intensely. I'm feeling a lot of pain in my intestinal area and strange sensations of anguish in my heart. So for people who say, oh, they stopped suffering after they died, they don't know what they're talking about. Pray for this person. Pray for whomever discarnated. Because we don't stop suffering just because the body died. Because the suffering is not in the body. It's in the mind. And he says, I never imagined I would be able to endure so much, my friend. How heavy my cross has been. Now that I can organize my ideas, I believe that the pain has sapped all my available strength. The instructor listened attentively, showed great interest in my lamentation. So the good spirits, they don't judge us. Without the slightest gesture that the would indicate that he wanted to stop me. And then encouraged, he continued. And then look at how big the paragraph is. I'm not going to read it all. He talks a lot. A lot. My mental suffering is enormous, indescribable. And he goes on and on and on. The instructor is listening, but then serenely, he says, my dear friend, do you really want spiritual healing? So today, Clarencio, directly from Nosso Lar, is asking us, do we want spiritual healing? Please, I do. Now he's going to tell us, now be prepared. Buckle up, because it's turbulent. Okay? It's a very important warning they're giving us. Look what they say. He said, then, if you do, learn not to talk about yourself so much. Oh, no. Or to comment on your own pain. Oh, no. So, here we go. We talk often about ourselves, and we always talk about our difficulties, right? I remember when I moved to the US 25 years ago, people used to ask, how are you? In Brazil, people ask, you say it. Like Andrea Lewis, you really say it. But here, they're already more evolved. I would say, they say, how are you? Great. There is 10,000 problems, but nobody's going to say it. Great. Everybody's great. You never hear anybody saying. And then I used to say, oh, this, that, and the other. And then somebody told me, you don't need to say it. They don't really care. I think we care. Of course we care. But it's just that here we have this very optimistic mindset. Not that we don't in Brazil or other countries, but there is this beautiful, unique attitude. Sometimes people say that we are in a Prozac society, maybe. We're taking a lot of pills and say we're doing great, but lamenting ourselves is not good. It's not sincerity. He's going to say more. So this American mentality is great. Telling us, do not lament yourself. Lamentation is the symptom of a mental illness. Oh my Lord. I studied psychology, never heard of that. I bet people who study psychiatry, it's not in the manual either. A mental illness that is time-consuming and difficult to treat. Lamentation is a mental illness that takes time to treat. You absolutely must create, solution now. That's the beauty. Say, you want spiritual healing? The true healing? Stop talking about you. Stop talking about your problems. Look at our guidance model. We've never heard of Jesus saying, you know where I came from? I cannot even tell you. Never. He always was listening to people. And when they asked, who are you? I am the way, the truth, and the life. The language that they understood. I am the Messiah. He just confirmed. But he didn't talk about himself. We've never heard of Jesus saying, I'm doing this. Oh, I just came from Capernaum. Like people travel, they come back, and they start talking about it. It's funny, at work, after a weekend, the first question people ask, how was your weekend? And they don't want to hear because they want to say what they did. And then they say, oh, we traveled here, we traveled there, we did this, we got that, da-da-da. Very me, my mind. I bought this, I bought that. Oh, we just planned another thing. That me, my mind is very detrimental to us. And if we complain about things, it's even worse. So he says to us, a way to get out of it is we must create new train of thought and control our tongue. Maybe we control here, but have we changed here? So that's the solution, to create new thoughts. It takes an effort. It's not second nature, okay? So if you say it's so hard, it's supposed to be hard. It's harder to go to the mental gym than to the actual gym. And if it's hard to go to the gym, then we're in trouble. Because we need to go to the mental gym and work out every day. New thoughts. Sing songs that boost up. You know, sometimes you don't feel good, Mentor Joseph says. Repeat to yourself, Vanessa. I am light, I am peace, I'm joy of living. I am light, I'm peace, I'm joy of living. Don't know what you think? Repeat. I'm light, I'm peace, I'm joy of living. I'm a child of God. I'm loved. I feel safe. Affirmations that will reprogram our minds. Good actions will also boost new feelings that will foster new understanding. And he says more to us. We will only become balanced if we open our heart to the Son of God, the light of God. We have to open our hearts. If you regard the effort required as a crushing imposition and see suffering where there is actually an edifying struggle, you are showing the undesirable signs of spiritual blindness. So let's say life is challenging me and I am complaining. Then I'm not seeing the blessing in disguise. That's what he's saying. The more you use words to exaggerate your pain regarding your personal experience, the more you bind yourself to insignificant memories. The same Father who watches over you and offers this generous roof over your head will also care for your family on earth, for everyone. And then he starts explaining it, etc., etc. Okay? So, today we learned something quite new. That complaining, lamenting, but let's say what it is, because we say, I don't do this. We do it. People ask, how are you? And then we start the rosary of lamentations. But why? Do we need to do that? We need to ask the emotional need to do this. Do we need to do this? Is this helping the person? Oh, but I don't want people to feel jealous of me, so I always play down like I am the underdog. Then it's manipulative. Jesus didn't play the underdog. He was humble. He was not manipulating us. We don't need to play down so people are not jealous of us. Don't be selfish then. That's what the spirits are telling us. They're saying, be humble. Don't say anything about you. Because at the end of the day, majority of people really don't care. They don't. Majority of people, they only care about themselves. So why are you going to share your things? And it's not going to help them either. So how can we help somebody? But if we share with people who will help, asking for help. I go to the doctor's office, and the doctor says, how are you? Say, I can't not say it. I have to say, it hurts here, it hurts there, it hurts the other. And then listen to the things. Another is for everyone and everyone who we write to, whom we talk to over the phone or in person, and we are already talking about. I knew this person who would often come and say, hi, I take antidepressants. This person would say the name and then talk about his story of depression to everybody whom this person met. So he labeled himself. Everybody would know he's this person who's depressed. And they knew the story of depression. Everybody, year after year after year after year. What is that? Is this adding to anybody's life? It's not helping, right? So, in André Lewis, we're going to find the solution to healing, which is to create new thoughts, new trains of thoughts and feelings. When we talk about thoughts, we're talking about patterns that is included in feelings. It's not, as some of us know, Sally, the scholar, she says, it's not the sentences. When we think of thoughts, we're talking about a vibrational pattern that includes feelings. Okay? So let's go straight to the therapy, the spiritual healing. Then André Luiz through Chico Xavier writes another message that Philippe read to us. And now we are I'm going to pass on to you. Take it to your house. Take it, please, Rejani. Take it. Let's study one step at a time because we need to train ourselves to heal from within. Even if it takes many reincarnations for us. But we begin already today in this life. Right? Let's see. The spiritual healing. He begins. It's André Luiz, the same spirit doctor of the book Nosso Lar, through the same medium, Chico Xavier. And remember, Chico Xavier was a phenomenal medium and he had his illnesses. Big deal. He kept on being a good instrument, healing himself. He says spiritual healing begins with a prayer. Prayer to whom? Prayer to whom? To what? To God, right? And I'm asking this because often people pray to their gods. We don't talk about gods anymore, but we have our own gods. We create our fictitious images. But at the end of the day, we are talking with God, Kardec said. It's in the Gospel according to Spiritism. A prayer is a conversation with God. Is it okay if I say Jesus? Yes. If you say Bezerra de Menezes? Yes. There was a woman who came to Chico Xavier and said, Chico, I came here just to thank, because I got this envelope and I saw this picture of this man. And I started praying, putting my hands every day on the stamp and praying for this man that she named Alito Barsanti. She put her hand and prayed for him. And she got the healing that she needed. And when she left, Chico Xavier was puzzled. Who is Alito Barsanti? He asked Emmanuel, who is this? I stamp of Alito Barsanti. And then he explained that actually, where she came from, the spirit that was coordinating everything was Euripides Barçanufo, but the picture was of Kardec. They had a stamp of Kardec in Brussels. She prayed for Kardec, thinking of Alito Barsanti, and the spirit that was helping was Euripides Barçanufo. To show to us that God sends his messengers, whether we know the name or don't know the name. It doesn't matter. But we need to pray. Because when we pray, we humble ourselves, don't we? We humble ourselves. We are asking for something, being grateful and praising God. That humility is already healing. And he says more, prayer is the light in the shadow where disease settles. So when you know somebody who is in a certain state, maybe it's a cold or something, tell them, pray more often. When we were at the COVID time, the center created a specific page. It's in the Virginia Spirit Center website. It's a COVID kit. We named it, but now COVID is gone, so we're going to say spiritual healing kit. Prayers, visualizations. But not only once a day. You needed to pray the whole day when we're sick. The whole day. And if you can't pray the whole day, you listen to prayers that make you feel prayerful. That's why we have the virtual classes at Kardec Radio. And it's also in the website of the Spiritual Side of Virginia. You go there, it's a way for us to untangle the knots. We change our vibration. Then he says, sow joy. How do we sow joy? Make people happy, right? How? You think money? No. Nothing to do with money. I've heard the story the other day of this guy in England who got the maximum lottery prize ever. He found a way to make it all disappear in a few years. He separated from his wife of 40 years, and then they died in a tragic way. No penny left. They say it's the curse of the lottery. They say there is already a study showing that usually majority don't do well. So you don't sow joy with money. By making people feel noticed. By listening to them. By giving of our presence. Heartfelt presence. Because hope is joy in the heart. Doesn't it feel good when you go to the doctor's office or to the bank or to everywhere, people look at you in the eye and say, hi, how are you? And you feel they are there with you. You feel like, oh, it's not like a robotic thing. That we are afraid. We're not afraid of artificial intelligence. We are afraid of human beings that are not mindful. They're doing things without consciousness. But when we sow joy, we're mindful, we're in the present. We're sharing joy that fosters hope, and there is healing in itself. And then he says to us, Escape from impatience. Escape. It's interesting the word he uses. Escape. So impatience is here when you go to the next room. All right. How do we do this? Again, Mentor Clarencio here saying, create new train of thoughts. Don't you think that patience is fostered by humility? Because when we feel entitled, we are impatient. It's pride in us. It's egotism. It's self-absorption that leads us to be impatient. I want this to end. Come on, I've been waiting here. Come on, come on. And we feel entitled. I paid for this, we say. I paid for it. A lot of pride. So he's saying run away from it because every moment of irritation is a magnetic disaster with unpredictable consequences. We wish we could teach this to our children. Yesterday, I was at a place where I saw a 2-year-old kid, twins, boy and a girl, and they were so enraged. I felt so sorry for them because I said, if at 2 they are this monster, imagine when they become an adult. They're gonna hit. They're gonna do things that they will regret. We need to soothe these minds and say, hey, everything is all right. He's saying that when we are irritated, we attract. Magnetic means we attract things that are not healthy. That's why it's saying magnetic. Because you emit and then you attract like-minded vibrations. Minds with their vibrations. And then it's a disaster. So we need to avoid it at all costs. But they lied, they cheated, but they robbed. It's your health. They're not well. You're going to become sick because of them? Are we going to become sick? We need to tell that in our minds. It's their choice, not mine. They chose it. I'm choosing health. I am choosing patience. I may lose today to gain health tomorrow. We need to tell that to our minds. Today, it's as if we're in the gym working out these mental muscles. So we know the route to our healing and maintain it. And then he says more. Keep trusting. But what is he saying? Keep trusting in God. Keep trusting in the divine in all of us. But then, Vanessa, did you hear about that crime elsewhere? Hey, how many people are doing those things? You're talking about exception. You're not talking about the rule. We're not going to define the world by one case. We are going to keep trusting. Faith. Doubt casts rays of death. Now, remember, Andrea Lewis used to be a physician. He keeps on working in this beautiful understanding of spiritual integral health, and he's telling us that faith fosters life. Look at our winter just ended. When we see the trees that looked so dead, sprouting beautiful flowers and leaves, we are mesmerized. Like it's a miracle. We thought they were gone. The same happens in us. Faith in us because we're children of God. Faith in the other because they are children of God. Faith in the world because we're all children of God. But doubt will attract stagnation. We need to tell our children, believe in yourself, believe in the word, believe in the good of everybody. Believe in the good of everybody. If your friend is not doing well, you bet their home is not well. Because a good home fosters good kids. And a good home in terms of consciousness. The other day, we had one of her friends who were always talking about killing. And killing and killing and killing. And we were like puzzled. Why is this happening? And killing and killing. He's a nice boy, but he's talking about killing, killing, killing. And then we met the parents we got to know. For the last year and a half, one of the parents has been away to take a degree in another state. So the mother was essentially out of the house. The kids are not well. Yeah, you're going to get a degree, but the mental health of your children are suffering. This is our nonsensical society. We think degrees are better than our presences. Each one does what they want, but that is creating an unsettling feeling. So when we look at the boy, we say, now I get it. He's lacking a main part of his life. It's not easy. Then I asked him, do you miss your mom? He said, well, by now I'm kind of used to it. But you could tell the way he said it, right, Virginia? You as a teacher, you see it all the time. All the time, right? Kids reporting how they miss the presence of their parents. They have parents, but they are orphans. They are orphans. And we tend to believe that the more they grow, the less they need us. It's the opposite. The more they grow, right? You as a teacher, you see it, how they need more the parents. No. Oh, no, they know. Yeah, they know physically, but emotionally, that's the riskiest part of life. Where they need you to be there. Not to say things, but to be supportive. To be present. To say, I'm here. You're not alone, right? That suffices. And if they don't find it at home, they will find it somewhere else. And if they don't find a good teacher, they will find the friends that will lead them to addictions, to crimes, and then who was co-responsible for it? The absent parents. When we're children and teens, there's a lot of doubt. That's why we need God. Many parents say, when they are 18, we'll talk about it. It's gone. They need God now because we're not God. We'll not stay with them forever. Not even Jesus was here forever physically. But we have God, so we tell them, wherever you go, there is God. So doubt will disappear. And now, a big one. Don't criticize. We're studying the cases, but another thing is to criticize. Do you understand that the parents sometimes they need to have that degree? Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. I don't know. But we all need a certain commitment to understand. Chapter 10 of the book, Thought in Life by Emmanuel. He says that to evolve, we need to boost our understanding. To seek the good. When we criticize, we're not seeking the good. Censorship is a shock to the bonds of affinity. So maybe the person is far away, and I'm here talking, criticizing the person. Because I just have one angle of her life or his life. And I think I'm not doing anything, right? I'm also sending rays that are destructive and will affect our connection. There are couples who do this in front of each other. They think they are being funny. Oh, she doesn't like to cook. I have to cook. And they tell all the friends who come to their house. And they think it's funny. It just separates them apart more and more. We don't play with those things. Criticism is never funny. Never funny. And then no wonder we'll grow apart because we are shocking each other with our criticism. The same between parents and children. If we keep criticizing them, see, I knew you were not going to make it. We say it to them. I knew it. No, don't do it. I'll do it. You don't know how to do it. And we think we're helping them. We're full of ourselves, very proud. And as the good spirits say, pride is the main impediment for our spiritual ascension. So who are we to think we're more than our children? If the good spirit said in the Spirit's book by Kardec that often our children are more evolved than us. Hopefully they are. And we invest on it and we say, man, they are, I can tell it. And it's good for us. But if we think we're better than them, we're failing the world. Because the world needs to progress. They need to be better than us. And we rejoice in them. Because with them, we're going to go as well. We protect, educate them, and at the same time, we learn from them naturally. And we want them to be better than us. Or, as Emmanuel says, we're going to reincarnate in our very lineage to see how bad it is to block your very progress. When we don't allow our children to be better than us, we are blocking our very progress. And, see, just to tie into that, don't criticize. What he says, anything, period. See how far we are? We need spiritual healing. So no lamentation, no criticism. So then I'm going to be mute. I have nothing else to say. It's interesting when we sit at a cafeteria and you kind of overhear what people are saying. Maybe we can't tell what they're saying exactly, but it's always she, he, them. He, she, them, or I. We're always talking about somebody. And sometimes it feels good because it binds us together to talk about somebody else, but it's very deceiving. At the end of the day, we didn't build anything. Builds of trust. Bridges of trust. We didn't. So it says, then be mild, moderate, meek. Avoid extremes. Our health cannot sustain extremes. As a homeopathic doctor once said to me, health is about a rhythmic life. You need rhythm. When it's all over the place, like the lives of our children have been like this, because of the use of electronics and because of this extreme freedom, we have children who are up late at night, confiscate all the electronics. They can deal with it on their own. Take it away. If they can't take it and say, I do it because I love you. You don't need this. You don't need this. You need to sleep. And stay with them till they fall asleep, because sometimes that's what they need. When Virginia was quite young, she was sleeping with Carlos and us. And then I called a homeopathic doctor here in the United States, in Fairfax. And I asked her, I need to have a consultation with you because my daughter doesn't want to be by herself in her bedroom. And then the doctor asked me, is it a problem for you? And I said, isn't it a problem after all? She said, that's nature. If you see nature, that's how nature is. The offspring sleeps with the parents. It's natural. The day they don't need it, they will gravitate to their own thing. If they are not ready, they are not ready. Okay, thank you. You saved me $150. Just over the phone. Thank you for the advice, which makes sense in many ways, especially when you're so young. Because there will be a day they won't need us anymore. And then they're free to fly. They need something. We don't need extremes. The separation when babies are born. And parents feel like they need to be independent. That's the most shocking thing I've ever heard as being mothers. Right? They have to learn to suit themselves, right, Amanda? Yeah, I remember bringing Virginia to a preschool first time. And I was crying the whole way after I left her. And then this teacher said, don't cry, she's learning to be resilient. I said, I have a problem. I have a problem. I don't see what they're seeing. So actually, this is what we need to do. Be less violent, less aggressive, more mild. We're in a society that loves to watch the MMAs. Am I right? And we think it's beautiful to see people punching each other. It shows how violent we are. We may not do it, but that's how violent we are. We're not mild. And the aggressive word holds work at square one. When we are aggressive in our words, in our actions, we cannot foster health. And then he goes, we kept the term very literally to the Portuguese. Don't be scandalized. One time in Baltimore, the spirit side of Baltimore, we were visiting children at the Ronald McDonald House. It's a beautiful effort, right? Of the McDonald's, this charitable effort to have these special homes for parents of children who are extremely sick and need to be in different cities and states, far away from their home. So they have a home away from home. So we were doing this effort from the Spirited Society to visit and give breakfast or dinner to these families. And we would encounter the children. And I remember then the man of a family, he had a daughter, and he said, I'm not going to go. And I asked him, why? I don't want my child to see sick children. Why? Because she's going to be impacted. Well, but she needs to be impacted because that's the world. You're going to do the same as Buddha's parents? Because she's not Buddha. She's not going to illuminate herself on her own. She needs to see the sick children to value her health. At some point, they did come. Today, this beautiful child is a physical therapist. Isn't that odd? The father wanted to protect the child from her own destiny. She already had compassion in her heart. I knew her. She wouldn't make it a big deal, and she didn't. But we as parents, we think that it's horrible. Oh my gosh, I don't want to say this. No, take them to see it. This is life. Because the body of the person who is suffering is a sacred object. Help spontaneously for the good. Now, he said something here that is quite challenging. What is the word that is most challenging in here? Yeah! Why? Because we're not there yet, right? No, it's not second nature. So is it okay to do the good, even if you don't feel it? Yes. Emilio always said yes. Because by practicing it, it's going to become second nature. For the people who it's already second nature, you bet they've been doing this for a while. And this is so healthy that it attracts sympathy. And that's cooperation. Chico Xavier was taking a train. He was late for work. And a child. Chico. He was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be late. And the man, come on. He stopped, he missed the train. And the child just wanted a hug. But then Emmanuel showed to him the vibrations of sympathy, of kindness that were coming from a grateful heart, helping the sustenance of his very health. The other day, I saw a boy, another boy. He received a set of football cards. The first thing he said, Mom, my brother's going to be so jealous when he sees what I got. If he just knew that teasing somebody's jealousy is going to be detrimental to their health, they wouldn't do it. Sometimes we say, I'm going to say what I want when I want. I don't care what people think. They just knew it. If we just knew. Now we know. But then we didn't know. That if we say what we like, whenever we like, hurting people, it's not going to attract good vibrations. How am I going to stay healthy? So if I help, I will also attract good vibrations of the good spirits. And that's a true story that is worthwhile recapping for those who heard it before. This woman comes to Chico Xavier, and says, my daughter is now addicted to drugs. She has bad friends. I don't know what to do. Emmanuel said, tell her and the father that they need to start doing charitable works. So they go. They don't understand. They talk to friends, and friends said they are in São Paulo City. And they used to have an enormous prison, the largest in Brazil. And they said, okay, let's go there and help them. So she would bake cakes, and he would be the hairstylist. They would go there, and they became friends of many of the prisoners. One day, the girl healed. She got better. So they planned another trip to see Chico Xavier and to be thankful to him. Chico didn't know why. Emmanuel explained. By becoming friends and really having feelings, right? Because it's not about giving things and say, okay, let's go home. It's about looking at people in the eye, feeling for them, being the instrument of this kindness. The good spirits and the mothers who discarnated and were connected to the prisoners, they were so grateful to the couple that they said, let's help them. And they were instruments of the disobsession of the girl and her friends. See? What do? Our children get addicted, we start complaining, we start feeling depressed. Go help some people so somebody can help your children. But don't stay home thinking about yourself alone, because life's not going to change. You can pray all you want. It begins there, he says, but it doesn't end there. So we need to do the good. And Andrea Luis is going to say, again, you see, he repeats several times, do not cultivate animosity. What is it? Do not create enemies. In another book, Emmanuel, The Harvest of Light, named Ceifa de Luz in Portuguese, he says, in a beautiful message titled Spiritual Immunization. It's the most striking message of the book because he's going to say that you're going to protect yourself if you become more tolerant, if you don't create animosity in your life. We're not going to be people pleaser. Being people pleaser doesn't help us. But caring, understanding, to the point that there is no reason for us not to be well together. Aversion is vibratory calamity. It's a disaster. Where people say, did you see that cashier? How rude. And people were like being upset. The other day at an elevator, two families were complaining about each other just because they bumped, literally, physically bumped. They're like, it's my family. What do you think? And I'm like, am I on earth? We're still at that level here. What's happening here? And then they don't know each other and they create enemies out of nothing. And then they spend the whole night in a battlefield because you think you sleep and you stay there. You go and keep battling. And then you found an enemy at the beach. It's not a summer of love, as the music goes. It's actually of enemies. And that's not healthy. And he ends with the golden rule. Interpret the sick person as if they were yourself. The golden rule. Do what you like to receive. Oh, sorry, Jesus. Wait on. He wants to come because at the golden rule he said, me, I'm here. All spiritual healing is rooted in the power of love. So we are at a hospital. Yes, we're sick, but let's pray for the doctor, the nurses. If you're going to pay a visit to the doctor, your children, pray for the doctor that they don't make so many mistakes because they're going to go home, feel upset because our obsessors use them to misinterpret our scenario. And then we're complicating the doctor's life and then his family's life. So pray, oh God, I need so much. I don't want to complicate the doctor's life, the nurses, the therapists. Let them be instruments of your light and trust. Surrender. Pray for the other sick people too. And when people are not well, they're sick. So it could be us. By now we're healed. By now we're healed because the golden rule is about our guiding model. The healthiest human being ever alive. Jesus. Never sick. Never. You had to kill him for him to die. Don't ask if they didn't kill what's going to happen because I don't know the answer. But he was the healthiest. He has been the only one on earth. Never, ever, ever got sick. Why? Power of love. To be healed, we need to open our hearts. It's just a misinterpretation that there is a separation between us. At the end of the day, we're all interconnected. If I had good feelings for people, I'm bathing myself in these feelings. If I have good thoughts, if I say good words. So let us strive to accept the warning of the instructor of Nasalar, the mentor, who comes to us through André Luiz to say, stop complaining, heal yourself with beautiful thoughts. And here we have a beautiful recipe. It's good to keep it at home near us. Put it on the fridge. I know we don't like to. We like clean things, right? Take everything else, just keep that one there. Or on the dining table, under the plates. or at the nightstand, somewhere where we can see and say, begin with a prayer. And like Ben Franklin, so practical. Choose one for every day. Today I'm gonna sow joy. Plain, just joy. Today I'm not gonna criticize. That's the hardest, right? But if we practice every day, we're gonna be better off. And we're gonna create better vibrations. We're going to emanate also health. We don't want health for ourselves alone. We want health to be distributed to all. We're going to finish now for the next part of the passage. Does anybody have any question? Can we move to the next part? Yeah? All right. I think because the children are going to be working a little more over there, we're going to do the spiritual passes here with Jesus, okay? Trust that all we need comes from the good spirits. All right? So we're going to dim the lights and begin. Let us feel at this moment the loving presence of Master Jesus. He doesn't criticize us. He understands us. He loves us. He envelops us in His loving magnetism. And we see Him in front of us with a bright, beautiful heart, loving smile, illuminated hands touching our heads. And we feel the light of His love permeating our brains, resetting it, making us feel secure, calm, trusting, full of joy of living. We breathe in and out and feel that these rays of light are enveloping our faces, cleansing us from sadness. Our necks, shoulders, arms, and hands illuminated by His light. All pain and toxins are flushed away. We breathe in and out, visualizing His hands showering us with the light of His healing, enveloping our hearts and lungs, all the organs in our thorax, in our abdomen, and a belt of light in our hips, protecting us. Our legs and feet circulating health. We visualize Jesus embracing us in new healing. He kindly travels with us at this moment into our homes, with His loving team, cleansing and protecting it, placing a vase of healing flowers on our dining table to balance us at every meal. Thank you, dear Master Jesus, for your healing presence. Thank you for bringing us together. May all of us in two realms, including those who have their names in the book of prayer, feel the presence of your messengers guiding our lives every day. We rejoice with life, and patiently we want to learn to live a new way. And in this new way, find you to co-create with you a new earth. With your blessings, we ask for your permission to conclude our services as our therapeutic water is going to be distributed. And so be it.